ጤና ይስጥልን ውድ የማገር መገናኛ ቤተሰቦች በሙሉ በመላው ዓለም የምትገኙ እንዴት ናችሁ በማለት ሰላምታችንን እናስተላልፋለን። በዛሬው ዕለት አንድ ልዩ ዝግጅት ይዘን ቀርበናል። የተግባር ጥሪ በሚል ርዕስ በአማራው ንቅናቄ ትልቅ ቦታ ይዞ የሚንቀሳቀስ አንድ ወንድማችን ጋር ውይይት እናደርጋለን። አብራችሁን ቆዩ። የዛሬው የልዩ ዝግጅት ተሳታፊ ወንድማችን ቴዎድሮስ ትርፌ በአማራው ንቅናቄ በትልቅ የመሪነት ቦታ ብዙ ተግባራትን እንደሚያከናውን ሁላችሁም ታውቃላችሁ። የምናገረውን ይሰማኛል። ስለዚህ ቴዎድሮስ ትርፌ እንኳን ደህና መጣህ ወደ ማገር መገናኛ።
Getachew, thank you for having me on Magar. A pleasure to be back again.
That's great. Theodros Turfe is a chairman of Amara Association of America and the president of FANA, Federation of Amaras in North America. So he's playing a great role in advocacy and great leadership as an example. So Theodros Turfe, let's start from the video message you have sent out to all Amhara people, and after that we'll come back to the discussion.
Okay. Amaras, at this crucial moment, as a people, we are facing the most serious threat to our survival. In June and July, thousands of Amaras were massacred by the Oromo Liberation Army, majority of them women and children. A few days ago, on August 24th, the Tigray People's Liberation Front reinvaded the North Wollo area of Amara region and reoccupied Raya Kobo and the surrounding areas. The TPLF has been going door to door, killing civilians, raping women, looting, and displacing thousands of Amaras, mostly women, children, and the elderly. The Amara people of Raya Kobo are reliving the same nightmare from 2021. In June of 2021, when the Tigray People's Liberation Front invaded the Amara region, the TPLF massacred thousands of Amara civilians, raped thousands of Amara women, displaced millions of Amaras, destroyed infrastructure, looted food, medicine, and other items. As I speak right now, there's an active genocide being waged against the Amara people by the Tigray People's Liberation Front and the Oromo Liberation Army with complicity from Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and the Oromia regional government officials. For years, the Amara people and other Ethiopians have called for equality, peace, and coexistence in Ethiopia since the TPLF came to power in 1991. For years, we called out the Constitution and the ethnic federalism system, which institutionalized apartheid into the fabric of our country and society. And we warned that this apartheid system would drive the country to ethnic-based civil war. We sounded the alarm when the TPLF began the Amara genocide before coming to power in the 90s. And now we are finding our country being pushed into the very violence and bloodshed we had feared. We cannot allow the TPLF to continue to inflict terror on our people. We cannot allow the TPLF to march down into our land and commit the same terror and destruction it did in 2021. We cannot let our people in Wad, Talant, Adarkai to continue to live in TPLF-imposed siege. The Amara genocide must stop, and we have the will and power to stop it. We must exercise our universal right to exist and defend ourselves. To all Amaras and Ethiopians who stand on the side of truth and justice, I have a special message for you. This is a time to take a stand and defend yourself against tyranny. Every able-bodied man and woman must join the Allied forces at the front and remove the TPLF invading forces from the Amara areas. Our heroes, such as Fano Mere Wadajo, are fighting heroically to defend our people. We must mobilize as a people and end this existential threat once and for all. Our people have faced insurmountable odds, and we have overcome by responding to the calls of our people and country. This is no different. I am asking you now to respond to the cries of our women raped by TPLF militias, to the cries of a mother who lost her child to the Oromo Liberation Army, to the cries of people facing annihilation. While Amara supported peace and reconciliation, even amidst an active genocide, TPLF's renewed invasion have put us into a situation where we must fight to survive. Let history judge you as a generation that came to the front when you were needed. To the Amara Special Forces and the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, you have a legal, moral, and historical obligation to defend Amaras and Ethiopia from disintegration. You are being asked to show courage, honor, and discipline and fulfill your duty to defend this country. Let us unite to end the Amara genocide, reimagine a new Ethiopia free of this ethnic apartheid system, to bring peace and an end to the wars and division. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, it is a powerful call of action for Amara people and Ethiopians to be united and stop Amara genocide. So, Amaras, you expressed a big thoughts right there. Amaras are at the crucial moment as a people. As a people, we are facing the most serious threat to our survival. So, can you explain a little bit your message? I mean, in this context.
Well, Getachew, the Amara genocide has been happening for the better part of 30 years. What we have witnessed in the past 4 years since Abiy Ahmed came to power is the scale and the intensity of the genocide. It has increased dramatically, and our people are aware of this. And so when you see the number of Amaras that have been massacred, the number of Amaras that have been displaced from their homes, from Walega, Metekel, Talamt, Wollo, within Amara region itself, Addis Ababa, other parts of Ethiopia. We're talking about millions of people. When you look at the level of destruction that has been committed by the Tigray People's Liberation Front, the Oromo Liberation Army, when you look at also the state itself, the federal government under Abiy Ahmed, the Amara regional government under President Yilkal, rounding up tens of thousands of Amaras, anyone who is critical of Abiy Ahmed, and arresting them without any charges. Our people have to understand that this is a serious and a real threat to our survival as a people. And we have to respond to this appropriately. So when on August 24th, in the TPLF re-attacked the areas of North Wallo and Raya Kobe area in multiple fronts, and now even attacking Wolkait area, Wagamra, and they are still, occupying, areas of Adarkai, some parts of North Wallo. Our people have to respond to this threat. We cannot just sit and wait to be attacked. As a people, any people have a right to organize themselves and defend themselves from annihilation. And that is what I was trying to convey there, is that we have to respond to these threats. And what we were seeing as an Amara movement is that no one was really truly at a large scale mobilizing our people to face these threats. We were seeing leaders, Fano leaders such as Fano Mere Wadajo and others at the front, oftentimes on their own, responding to the massive TPLF attacks. And so our message there, not just by me, but also by Dr. Desalegn Chane, was that our people have to go and to the front and and join these Fanos and support them, because that's the only way that they're going to survive. Unfortunately, Amaras have been put into a situation where Amaras have to literally fight in order to survive. You know, for a long time, Amaras have been using words saying, this constitution is going to lead into an ethnic-based civil war. Amaras have been saying that we're being attacked. Please stop attacking us. Amaras have been saying that we want Ethiopia to be stable and prosperous. No one listened. Amaras now have been put into a situation that they have no choice but to fight because the fight has come to them. And so it was just a message to the people to organize themselves, to defend themselves, to support those Fanos that are out there on the front lines that are defending them and defending their homeland. And if we don't do this now, there's a real serious risk to our survival. And I believe that we can come out of this situation much stronger. Our people have faced much stronger odds in the past. We are a people that have existed, for eternity. Our country, Ethiopia, has existed. It's one of the oldest countries in the world. It's not that we cannot overcome this. We can overcome this, but we need to come together. We need leadership. We need real leadership at all levels. We need political leadership. We need civil leadership. We also need leadership at the front to make sure that our people survive and thrive.
Thank you, Theodros. As you have mentioned now, especially during the last 4 years, the killing of Amharas or genocide on Amhara is intensifying from time to time. And there is the so-called government in Ethiopia, the federal government and the regional government of Amhara, Ba'aden. So are those not participating in this genocide? Their army is in it because the people are killed by firearms, menchas, different kind of materials, even killed by stone, in a very cruel way. But the so-called government is still there. Unless there is a hand of the government in this Amhara genocide, how can we say there is a government to protect Amhara?
No, I agree with you. And AAA has documented on multiple incidents where the state apparatus itself has committed war crimes, atrocities against civilian Amaras in Walega and also in Amara region itself. That's why as an organization, we have been demanding for an independent investigation by international institutions on the genocide against Amaras. Finally, earlier this year, the United Nations Human Rights Council appointed 3 commissioners to conduct an independent investigation on atrocities in Ethiopia, all across Ethiopia, and against all peoples. And we have been working very closely with the ICHREER, International Commission on Human Rights Experts on Ethiopia, to facilitate the investigation on the genocide against Amaras. Their report should be published this September. We're looking forward to that report. And we're hoping that after they present the report, the mandate will be renewed and they can continue their investigation and we will work with them. But yes, the state is complicit. The political apparatus is complicit in these attacks, and we have documented, these attacks. The state is also has rounded up, thousands of Amaras across Ethiopia and have arrested them. Anyone who's critical of the Abiy Ahmed administration.
Thank you. Just, these 2 days, there are reports coming out. Actually, even before, when I was in Ethiopia, I talked to the Gondar University experts who were just checking the mass graves in Welkite area. In those mass graves, even about 60,000 Amharas were found. There are other mass graves even now in different areas, which are not even located at this time. So in hundreds, in thousands, Amharas are killed because they are Amharas. So what does it make different from the genocide which was happening in hundred thousands in Rwanda at this time, especially in our time?
Well, Getachew, some of your audience members may be aware, but some may not be aware. I was born in Humara, from Wolkite area. My family's from there. I still have family there, and we communicate with them often. The first victims of Amara genocide were Amaras from Wolkite, and this is very close to me. And our family has suffered as a result of TPLF's, invasion and forceful annexation of Wolkite into the area. We have lost a lot of family members. Many family members have been, forcefully removed, cleansed, ethnically cleansed from the Wolkite area. Many have immigrated to the Western countries, and many in other African countries, and some within Ethiopia outside of Wolkite area. And so, and I applaud the academics and the professionals at Gondar University for unearthing these graves and documenting them, and look forward to all the graves that they find and the documentation. But a genocide is a genocide. There's no difference. Genocide is a genocide, and the people who've committed the perpetrators should be held accountable. But the one thing I think that we have to accept as a people is, because we did not organize ourselves as Amaras in the past, we did not document these genocide acts. We are now doing it. We are going backwards and documenting the genocide that was committed against Amaras in Wolkite, in Raya. There are many other places where genocide was committed against Amaras by the Oromo Liberation Army from the 80s, early 90s, that we need to document and present forward. So this has been going on, as I said earlier, for a better part of 30 years. And it requires hard work by all Amaras, to document these atrocities and make sure that justice is served. We cannot allow these perpetrators to roam freely in Ethiopia, or in some of them who live outside of Ethiopia. That's on us. That's on the Amaras who are living. We have an obligation to the Amaras who were killed, who were murdered, an obligation that they receive justice. And I think we are capable of doing that because we are organized, we are growing, we are getting stronger, and more of our people are joining the movement. And there will be a time where these perpetrators will be held accountable. As I said earlier, AAA is working with the United Nations, commission that's investigating atrocities against Amaras. This is the first. If we did not organize as Amaras, this would not be happening. AAA is readily being interviewed on international media, bringing awareness to the Amara genocide. Earlier today, we hosted a Twitter space with the Montreal Institute for Genocide and Human Rights Studies to bring awareness to the structural causes of Amara genocide. So right now, the Amara movement is doing its part. We need to continue to, educate the world. We need to continue to advocate, and then the next step being ensure that there is accountability for the perpetrators.
Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about bystanders, especially even people in Ethiopians who are sitting in their offices and working on daily basis, and businessmen who are running for their business on everyday basis while this genocide is going on. Can we call them bystanders? At the same time, the Western governments, different governments, including United States of America, are they not accountable for being bystanders while the genocide is going on in Ethiopia?
Well, for any Ethiopian, especially particularly Amaras, who cannot sympathize and empathize with what is happening to Amaras, would be very sad. It would be hard for me to understand how they can not have that level of empathy, that sympathy for these innocent people, for mothers who have lost children, for husbands who have lost their wives, for fathers who have, and mothers who have witnessed their daughters being raped in front of them. So you must lack some level of humanity in order not to feel sympathy and empathy and want to do something to stop this. If you are just a bystander in Ethiopia and not caring, that means you don't care about yourself, because this country is going to disintegrate. If you are a man and you care about yourself, you care about your family, when you witness this happening in your own country, you should step up to stop this. You have an obligation as a man and as a human being to do that. So I can't understand it. The people that I know, that are people that I associate with, they cannot sleep. They're working hard every day to stop this genocide. So that's the only thing I can say about that. With regards to Western governments, go
Go
ahead. I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to
Go
say,
ahead. That's fine.
with regards to the Western governments, one thing that has to be clear is this: they are always reactionary. They don't, they are always reactionary, and do not assume that they have your best interests at heart. They are, looking out for their interests in the country and also in that region. In addition to that, they're going to, work with whoever is in power, because that's the only way that they can secure their interest. Any country, any government is going to look out after their interest. Some of these Western countries, human rights is important to them, but that's not always the primary driver here. So it is up to us as Amaras to have power so that we can negotiate on our behalf. Excuse me. We cannot expect them to come to us. We have to go to them and negotiate for ourselves, stand up for ourselves, speak up for ourselves. We have to show to the world that we have agency. And that's what the Amara movement has been doing. We have met with the State Department on multiple occasions. We have met with the Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa, Ambassador Mike Hammer, several times to make sure that he understands, the concerns and issues of Amaras. We have met with, congressional office members of Congress and senators. We meet with them actually regularly, especially those who are in the leadership in the House and Senate Foreign Affairs Committee members. We meet with think tanks so that we can ensure that they understand our issues, our concerns, and also that they know and understand that we exist as a people and that we can speak for ourselves. 2 weeks ago, 28 Amara organizations came together across the globe, from the United States, Canada, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and even Ethiopia, wrote a letter to the special envoys, including High Representative Obasanjo, to demand that Amaras be at the negotiation table in any negotiation about Ethiopia, that we cannot be excluded. Excluding Amaras would not bring peace to Ethiopia. And so, we have to understand how diplomacy works, but we have to be our own diplomats, right? We have to be the ones to reach out to the diplomats and say, we are the Amara diplomats. We can do diplomacy on our behalf. And that's what we are doing. And we have been doing this here in the United States. It is being duplicated in Canada. It has now been duplicated in Europe and Australia and New Zealand. We still do have a long way to go, but we're moving forward in that direction. And there is biasness in reporting. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you explained to me what the Amhara movement is doing, reaching this government institutions. But like in United States of America, the AAA is working in the advocating for Amhara people, and other organizations are even involving. As you have said, different Amhara organizations in the world are just raising their voice about the genocide of Amhara and voicing to stop the genocide of Amhara people. So during this process, does it mean President Biden really doesn't know about it? Or who are in his administration in this life and death decisions that dictated US policy, like State Department, Defense Department, National Security Council officials? I believe they know about it. At least one of them know that you guys are meeting regularly, the State Department. Does it mean this information is not reaching the president? Because it shouldn't take time to take an action. Why did the United States not to do more to stop Amhara genocide in Ethiopia while this killing is still going on?
Well, I can't answer whether President Biden is aware or not. What I can tell you is that in our meetings with state officials, with other congressional offices, that is our primary focus. Our primary focus is on Amara genocide, but then also to ensure that they know that Amaras have agency and can speak for ourselves, that we can speak about the politics of Amara. Now, it's diplomacy is not easy. Diplomacy is very hard. It requires consistency. It requires hard work, and it requires a level of commitment that not a lot of people are willing to commit to. AAA is working on this, but what we need also is we need Amaras here in the United States to contact their members of Congress. For right now, for example, if you go to our website, if you go to our Facebook, if you go to our Twitter, there is a phone script that is like 45 seconds long. That it'll walk. And there are instructions there, 3 steps, and within 45 seconds, you can contact your member of Congress, your House of Representative, or your senator to advocate for Amaras. This can be done also in Canada, in Europe, and other countries. So we need to do this collectively. We need to raise our voices collectively. If we can do this, long enough, believe me, we can get it recognized. Now, to get recognition of genocide by any government, it's not easy. The Armenia genocide took almost 100 years to be recognized here by the United States government. It isn't easy because it requires documentation. And from AAA's perspective, we have teams on the ground in Ethiopia that investigate, document, and report on the atrocities that are being committed against Amaras. But the report that we release is a tiny fraction of the actual atrocities being committed. Why? Because first, our investigators cannot access many of the areas where these atrocities have been committed. We know about Walega, but there are other places within the so-called Oromia region where atrocities are being committed against Amaras, but our investigators do not have access. In other parts of Ethiopia also, the network is bad. So to prove a genocide, you have to document it, and then you have to show that you're following proper methodology and present it. And so that work really falls on us, and then pressure international institutions to conduct the investigation. So it takes a lot of work and takes a lot of time to prove the Amara genocide. We believe as an organization we have the evidence to back it. We have the investigation and the report. We have presented it, but then it's getting others to also acknowledge it by looking at the report. And I believe as a people and as a movement, we're not going to stop until we get this recognition.
Thank you, Ted. I just mentioned this question because not to forget that U.S. failure to respond to the Rwandan genocide by claiming that the United States didn't know what was happening. That was the answer, which was given by the president's office during Clinton time. So just we have to magnify this idea to the world so that the president will open his eyes and look at it. Because the State Department, as I said, Defense Department, National Security Council reports everything what's happening in the world to the president. Uh, so international communities doesn't recognize well yet. You guys are working very hard. Amhara movement is working very hard. Still, this call, why I'm mentioning it, should reach every Amhara, not to give up, to go to the state representatives, the senators, keep on just calling and pushing them to proceed the idea. Now, let me go back and ask you.
Just real quick
Go
on
ahead.
this, Getachew. I agree with you. Um, Look, there's also even biasness in reporting.
Mhm.
Sometimes the violence against Amaras is whitewashed by the journalists. Have we made a lot of gains in that as a movement? Yes, we have made a lot of gains. Now, AAA has been on Al Jazeera, I think, like August, July, June, and May. We, been quoted regularly by international medias, but we have a long way to go. As a people, right? But also, let's not forget that we've only just been organizing for a short period of time. And it's on us as a people to provide that information, the facts to policymakers, international human rights organizations, and also Western journalists. But also, is for example, right now there's a midterm election happening in the United States. As you were saying, every Amara should be calling their member of Congress. Every Amara should be, requesting a visit with their congressional representative to talk about this issue. And if you do that, then you will get the attention of your congressional representative, and we can elevate Amara issues.
Thank you. That's very important. All Amhara organizations have to go through that. It is a good point you mentioned. And can't we say it is the worst and, efficient killing spree, of our time, especially Amhara genocide?
I mean, it's for me, it's hard to understand. It's very difficult for me to understand what's happening to Amaras in Ethiopia. Even more difficult for me to understand how there's not as much reporting about it, uh, and also to the extent that there's not enough you know Amaras and Ethiopians galvanized to end this genocide. Um, when I read these reports that come from Ethiopia, it's very difficult for me to sleep. There are a lot of pictures, videos that we don't make public that come to us. And when you see these, pictures and videos, it makes it very difficult for you to sleep. I have a very hard time sleeping, but that's what motivates me and my team to continue to move forward, because we know the stories of these individuals who have been, who have been killed, who have been these women who have been raped, um, these innocent individuals who have been rounded up and jailed. So we have an obligation to them. We have a moral obligation to them to ensure that this ends, that and this stops. And this is a moral obligation for all of us. And I believe that this is a calling for all Amaras to come together to end this genocide once and for all. We cannot continue in this manner. And I think Amaras have gotten to that point. And that's why now you're seeing Amaras standing up for themselves. You're seeing more and more Amaras, defying, the government and standing up for themselves. So, we will get there. It's when you don't have political power, you can't make the change immediately. It takes time, but believe that we will get there, because there's enough people dedicated to this. There's enough people dedicated to justice, and so I believe at the end of the day, Amara justice will prevail.
Thank you. As you have seen, I met those people while I was in Ethiopia. The victims, the rape victims, and a lot of people. That is very traumatic. As you have said, hard to sleep and hard to remove from our mind. And that's why you called all Amharas to stand together and to fight to free Amhara people. So that's a great call. At the same time, some Fano members are in jail at this time, about 15,000. Some people are saying 13,000, but the evidence in my hand shows me about 15,000 Fanos who are fighting for Amara people are in jail by the Abiy government and the Amara Prosperity Party government, Dr. Ilikal Kafyala. So, what if you have any short message on that? Can you repeat it?
Every Amara should demand the release of these Fanos. These Fanos put their life on the line to defend Amaras and Ethiopia from destruction. These Fanos should be released. It is a travesty of justice that these Fanos have to spend 1 minute of their life in jail. And these Fanos right now should be released to respond to the threats that's facing their community. These Fanos should be out there defending their wives, their parents, their siblings, their family, their land. There's a real threat facing our people. And these Fanos want to be out there to defend their community. They should be released. And we all have an obligation to thank them, to appreciate them, to recognize and acknowledge their sacrifice and demand their release.
Yeah, related with this one in Bahar Dar, even after the court decided for those 14 Fano leaders to be released, they are still in jail. Hard to believe what kind of administration is there. So, if you have something you can say on that, and let me put one last question to conclude. When you say a new Ethiopia free of ethnic apartheid system, you are dreaming for that. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, uh, just to come back a little, to the Fanos part, let's be clear here. A Fano is not just someone who carries a gun and goes to the battlefield. Fanos are those journalists that were speaking up against Amara genocide, that were documenting and reporting on the complicity of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed in Amara genocide, and they're arrested. Those Fanos are those opposition political party members that the government fears that are arrested and put behind bars. They're the university professors, the students that were protesting, the lawyers that were defending against Amara genocide. So this mass crackdown is not just against those Fanos that were at the front lines in the battlefield. It was also against those Fanos that were at the front lines, being critical of the Abiy administration. Now, when I talked about to reimagine a new Ethiopia free of this ethnic apartheid system, as a movement, as an organization, the Amara Association of America believes the system that we have right now in Ethiopia is an ethnic apartheid system. Amaras, especially Amaras, have been made stateless in many parts of Ethiopia. No representation at all. Stateless within their own country because of this system. The reason why Amaras are being massacred and that there is an Amara genocide is because the problem is structural, and we need to fix this structural system. So that's why we are calling for a new constitution. And when you have a new constitution where the foundation of this constitution is one country, one nation, that is Ethiopia, where all people, regardless of their ethnicity, regardless of their identity, are equal citizens wherever that they might be, then you can reimagine a better Ethiopia than what we have right now. And that is the concern of many of these groups who are anti-Amara and anti-Ethiopia, because we are demanding this. We are demanding it, and we are pushing for it. For the first time in a very long time, Amaras are organized and demanding this in an organized manner. And so, and I believe, majority of Amaras on our side, and also I believe majority of Ethiopians are on our side when it comes to this matter, because they have suffered under this, ethnic apartheid system. They have, either suffered, been in terms of like being victims, or also similarly becoming stateless, just like Amaras, if they live outside of their so-called ethnic, homeland, or also been maybe very difficult for them to even achieve their dreams, whether that be economic dreams, whether that be political ambition, or so forth. And so when this country is not going to become stable, this country is not going to become prosperous, so long as we have this, TPLF imposed, ethnic apartheid system. The TPLF used this system to establish Tigray hegemony for nearly 3 years. And what we are seeing right now is Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed trying to use the same ethnic apartheid system to establish Oromo hegemony. And it's our job, it's our obligation to push back against that and say, no, we're not going to have a repeat of the TPLF system, by Abiy Ahmed for the next 30 years to enable Oromo hegemony. We're not going to allow
it. Thank you very much, Theodorus Turfe, for having this time. As we have been discussing, the Abiy government, the Oromia region government, and even the Amara region government, Ba'aden, are very active in this, in participating Amhara genocide. And the message you have sent is great, to bring all Amharas for action. If you have any closing statement, just take the mic and say anything, and we'll close by this.
The only thing I can say right now is this is a very, very critical moment, for us as a people. As I said earlier, our very existence is at risk. And so it's very important for all Amaras to come together and face this threat. So what I'm asking is for all of you to be that generation that responds to this threat and heed this call and go to the front and defend yourself. That's all I can say.
Thank you very much, Theodorus Turfe, for having this time together. የማገር መገናኛ ቤተሰቦች በሙሉ ያው በእንግሊዝኛ ቋንቋ ነው ቃለ ምልልሱን ያደረግነው። ለቴዎድሮስ ትርፌ ቀለል ብሎ ስለሚሄድ ነው እና በሚቀጥለው ፕሮግራማችን እስከምንገናኝ ድረስ አብራችሁን ስለቆያችሁ እጅግ እናመሰግናለን። መልካም ቀን። Thank you.
Thank you.